Right, listen up, petrolheads. We're about to embark on an incredible journey through time, tracing the fascinating evolution of the automobile. Buckle up, because this ride is going to be full of twists and turns. We're going on a trip through time to see how our beloved cars evolved from, well, not being cars at all. Imagine a world where the concept of a car didn't even exist. Hard to believe, right? Before the roar of the engine, there was the clip-clop of hooves. Yes, horses were the primary mode of transportation. They were reliable, but they had their limitations. Horse-drawn carriages were all the rage. They were the height of sophistication and the best way to get around town. But let's be honest, they weren't exactly the most efficient. They were slow, smelly, and about as exciting as watching paint dry. The streets were filled with the stench of manure, and travel was a tedious affair. But hey, they got you from A to B, eventually. It was a time when patience was more than a virtue, it was a necessity. But then came the late 19th century, a time of innovation and change. The world was on the brink of a technological revolution. Inventors were tinkering about, trying to find a better way to get around. They were driven by curiosity and a desire to push the boundaries of what was possible. And you know what they say about tinkering? It usually leads to something brilliant or something that bursts into flames. Many early attempts were laughable, but they paved the way for future success. Thankfully, in the case of the car, it was the former. The first successful automobiles were born out of countless trials and errors. The first cars were a far cry from the sleek machines we see today. They were rudimentary, with exposed mechanical parts and a very basic design. They were rickety, unreliable, and scared the living daylights out of horses. But they represented a monumental leap forward in transportation. But they were a sign of things to come. A glimpse into a future where the world would move faster than ever before. From those humble beginnings, the automobile has evolved into a marvel of modern engineering, shaping the way we live, work, and play. Today we have electric cars, autonomous vehicles, and who knows what the future holds. The journey of the automobile is far from over, and it's an exciting road ahead. So next time you get behind the wheel, take a moment to appreciate the incredible history and innovation that brought us here. The dawn of the automobile was just the beginning. Now let's talk about Carl Benz, a German chap with a beard and a brainwave. In 1886, he patented the first proper automobile, the Benz Patent-Motorwagen. This three-wheeled contraption was powered by a single-cylinder engine. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. Imagine the look on people's faces when they saw this thing puttering down the road. It was like witnessing a spaceship landing in their backyard. The Benz Patent-Motorwagen was a game-changer. It proved that automobiles were not just a passing fad, but a viable mode of transportation. Fast forward a few decades and the automobile is starting to catch on. The streets are no longer just for horse-drawn carriages and pedestrians. Automobiles, though still a novelty, are beginning to make their presence felt. These early cars are a symbol of status and innovation, capturing the imagination of the public. But there's a problem. They're expensive, complicated to build, and only the wealthy can afford them. These early automobiles are handcrafted, each one a unique piece of engineering art. The materials are costly and the labor is intensive. As a result, owning a car is a privilege reserved for the elite, a luxury that most people can only dream of. Enter Henry Ford, a man with a vision to make cars affordable for everyone. Ford isn't just an inventor, he's a revolutionary thinker. He sees the potential for the automobile to transform society, to give people freedom and mobility like never before. But to do that, he needs to find a way to make cars cheaper and more accessible. Ford's genius wasn't just in building cars, it was in how he built them. He understood that to bring the automobile to the masses, he needed to rethink the entire manufacturing process. He needed to find a way to produce cars quickly, efficiently, and at a lower cost. He introduced the assembly line, a revolutionary concept that sped up production and slashed costs. The assembly line allowed for the mass production of automobiles, something that had never been done before. By breaking down the manufacturing process into simple, repeatable steps, Ford was able to produce cars at an unprecedented rate. Instead of skilled craftsmen painstakingly assembling each car, workers on Ford's assembly line focused on one specific task. This specialization meant that workers could become highly efficient at their particular job, further speeding up the production process. It also meant that the cars were more consistent in quality, as each part was assembled in the same way every time. This made the process faster, more efficient, and much cheaper. The assembly line was a game-changer not just for the automobile industry, but for manufacturing as a whole. It set a new standard for production that would be adopted by industries around the world. The result? The Ford Model T, a car so affordable it became known as the car that put America on wheels. The Model T was a marvel of engineering and design, built to be durable and easy to maintain. It was a car that the average American could afford, and it quickly became a symbol of freedom and independence. The Model T wasn't fancy. In fact, Ford famously said you could have it in any color you wanted, as long as it was black. This decision was practical. Black paint dried faster than other colors, which helped to speed up the production process even more. The simplicity of the Model T was part of its charm and its success. But it was reliable, affordable, and it changed the world. The Model T gave people the freedom to travel, to explore, and to connect with each other in ways that had never been possible before. It wasn't just a car, it was a revolution on wheels, and it paved the way for the modern automotive industry. After the Second World War, the world went car crazy. The American economy was booming and everyone wanted a slice of the pie, preferably one shaped like a Cadillac with tail fins you could land a helicopter on. This was the golden age of automobiles. Cars were big, brash, and dripping with chrome. This was the era of muscle cars, road trips, and drive-in movies. Cars became more than just a way to get around. They were a symbol of freedom, status, and the American dream. From the sleek lines of a Corvette to the rumbling V8 of a Mustang, these cars were all about power, style, and a sense of boundless possibility. Section 5. The need for speed and safety, a shift in priorities. But the party couldn't last forever. The 1970s brought fuel crises, environmental concerns, and a growing awareness of the need for safety. Suddenly, those gas-guzzling behemoths weren't so appealing. Cars started to become smaller, more fuel-efficient, and equipped with safety features like seat belts and airbags. This wasn't just about saving money on fuel, it was about saving lives. Governments introduced stricter safety regulations, and car manufacturers responded with new technologies like anti-lock brakes and crumple zones. The focus shifted from pure horsepower to a balance of performance, efficiency, and safety. Section 6. Plugging into the future, electric cars and beyond. In this section we will explore the incredible advancements in electric vehicle technology and how they are shaping the future of transportation. And now we're in the midst of another automotive revolution, the rise of electric cars. These vehicles are not just a trend, they represent a fundamental shift in how we think about mobility and energy consumption. Remember those early electric cars, the ones that could barely make it to the shops and back? They were slow, had limited range, and were often seen as impractical. But they laid the groundwork for what was to come. Well, they've come a long way. Over the decades, advancements in battery technology, design and engineering have transformed electric cars into viable alternatives to traditional gasoline-powered vehicles. Today's electric cars are fast, stylish, and can go the distance. They offer impressive acceleration, cutting-edge technology, and a driving experience that rivals or even surpasses that of conventional cars. With concerns about climate change and air pollution growing, electric cars are no longer a niche product. They're the future of transportation. Governments and manufacturers worldwide are investing heavily in electric vehicle infrastructure and incentives to encourage adoption. And it's not just about the cars themselves, it's about the entire ecosystem, from charging stations to renewable energy sources. The integration of solar panels and wind turbines with charging stations is a step towards a more sustainable future. We're on the cusp of a major shift, one that will see electric cars become the norm, not the exception. This transition promises to reduce our carbon footprint, improve air quality, and create a cleaner, greener world for future generations. Section 7. Buckle up for takeoff, flying cars on the horizon. But wait, there's more. Remember those futuristic films we watched as kids? The ones with flying cars zipping through the skies, well, that future might not be so far-fetched after all. Companies are already developing flying cars, and while we're not quite at the stage of personal jetpacks, it's definitely a possibility in the not-too-distant future. Imagine a world where traffic jams are a thing of the past, where you can simply hop into your flying car and soar above the congestion. It sounds like science fiction, but so did the internet once upon a time. The future of transportation might be up in the air, literally. Section 8. The road ahead. A never-ending journey of automotive innovation. So there you have it, a whirlwind tour through the evolution of the car. From those humble beginnings to the technological marvels of today, it's been quite a ride. And the journey isn't over yet. The automotive industry is constantly evolving, with new technologies and innovations emerging all the time. Who knows what the future holds? Self-driving cars, cars powered by fusion, cars that make you a cup of tea while you commute. The possibilities are endless, one thing's for sure. The future of transportation is going to be very interesting indeed. And I, for one, can't wait to see what's next.